Would you be the jerk for kicking in-laws and their kids out of your house when they have nowhere else to go? We'll find out, but first, am I the jerk for refusing to change a custody agreement because I'm not being offered anything in return? My ex and I share 50-50 of our 9-year-old son. Basically, we have him every other week. She also has a 5-year-old from her second marriage. They're divorced, and the custody arrangement is like ours, except she has the 5-year-old on the week that I have our 9-year-old. Her second ex-husband refused to work around our custody agreement, so my ex asked me to change ours. This is a huge deal, and the reality is that I can't just sign off on it. If I say okay, then she'll start asking for more accommodations at my expense. I told her to think about what she's going to offer me to go along with this plan. She got mad that I wouldn't just do it. Honestly, if she would have offered me something like an extra holiday, then I'd go along with it. She even said that she wasn't going to pay my legal fees because a judge has to sign off any custody changes in our state. Now she's pissed, and I don't care. I think OP is the jerk. To me, this just sounds overly petty. Would you guys agree? Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you enjoy tough to answer, tricky situations and stories like these, why not hit that subscribe button down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for letting him and his guy friend be stranded in another city and refusing to pay for their plane tickets to get home? My fiance, 33-year-old male, has a guy best friend that he's known for 16 years. He has cancer and is terminal. My fiance wanted to take him on a vacation for a couple of days and begged me to basically fund it. I refused, although I felt incredibly guilty after he made me feel bad about it for days. Eventually, he was able to borrow money to go on the vacation. They went and spent 2 days at a sports city. When it was time to return, he called me asking me to pay for their plane tickets to get home. I was taken aback. I asked why I should pay, and he said because they ran out of money and didn't put any aside to get home. I refused and told him it wasn't my problem that he didn't save money for the return flight. He started arguing with me, saying that I can't let them be stranded in another city when I have the means to help, especially after I refused to help fund the vacation. I said no and that he needed to deal with it on his own. He didn't stop texting me trying to get me to pay. He and his friend had to eventually return by road, and it took them 8+ hours. He came home and blew up, saying that I let him be stranded in another city and refused to help, although I had the money to pay for their plane tickets. He said that by forcing them to travel by road, I'd caused his friend unnecessary exhaustion and turmoil. He called me every name under the sun and said I had no empathy for his friend and that I'd tainted the memories of this vacation. Am I the jerk? He's still mad at me and says he's in shock by the way I behaved in this situation. I think OP's not the jerk because from the get-go, OP expressed no desire to pay for any part of this. So for them to scrounge the money up and go shipping off and then immediately hit them up later saying, hey, we didn't actually plan well, can you help us out now? I don't think that changes the circumstances at all. They already said no. And in fact, to me, it seems like almost maybe emotional manipulation. This next story is, am I the jerk for throwing my wife a birthday party and royally pissing my mom off? My wife and I are currently staying with my parents because we just couldn't afford the cost of living in this area. We're both currently looking for better jobs and/or something cheaper, but it is what it is right now. My mom and wife share a birthday, and there aren't words for how much my mom hates this. There were lots of whining in the beginning, jokes about, can't I just get a new girlfriend? And as of right now, she does her best to avoid my wife the entire week of the shared birthday. Outside of that, she's a decent mother-in-law, mostly pleasant to her, but their relationship is surface level, and they could both do without the other. My mom's currently at home recovering from surgery from a torn ACL, so she isn't doing much this year, though my dad got her cakes, food, and easily thousands of dollars worth of presents. My wife's been feeling pretty down due to our living situation and some external factors, and I wanted to cheer her up. I asked my dad if we could have some people over. He said yes, but to be fair, I didn't specify it was for a birthday party. I'm not sure he even remembered it was my wife's birthday, as he's totally disinterested in her. And he was in the middle of doing stuff for my mom, who was acting very princessy about her surgery. I invited our closest friends and set up a nice little party for my wife. At some point, my mom did come down and realized what was going on. I saw her look to the decorations and cake, and she looked pissed. My dad quickly ushered her away and promised they would go out when she was better, but she said it wouldn't count. My dad came back out and muttered to me that I'm a jerk for doing this and called me insensitive and a mooch. He came out an hour later and shut the party down as he claimed we were being too loud. I don't think we were, but it was getting late, so I didn't mind too much. My wife loved it and had a great birthday. I fully intended on cleaning up myself, but was too tired to do it that night. My mom came down in the morning and saw the things still up and got pissy again. I was in the process of cleaning them and told her not to worry, I would take care of it. She just glared at me and stormed off. My dad came back down and berated me for throwing it in my mom's face that my wife got a birthday party and she didn't, and told me he can't stand me and can't wait for us to leave. I told him they're both being crazy and my mom doesn't own the date. He shot back that I tricked him as he didn't realize it was a birthday party, to which I laughed and said maybe he should know his own daughter-in-law a bit better. He complained to some family, and now my aunt and her husband are calling me a jerk as well. To be fair, I don't know if OP did do anything for their mom, but I do think it would be a little nice if they, seem to recognize or do something for their mom on their birthday in their house. That said, I don't think OP's the jerk for what they did for their wife here. I just find it weird that it's the same day for the birthdays of both their wife and their mom. They're in their mom's house, and they don't seem to be doing anything for their mom. Our next story is, am I the jerk because I won't childproof my new house? I'm female 30, a new house owner. I bought it earlier this year and moved in a few months ago. I don't have kids, hence no need to childproof my house. Of course, I don't have swords sticking out of my walls, but my stairs don't have baby gates, etc. I also have quite a few pets, parrots of different species. I turned my top floor into parrot space where they have a massive room to fly freely all day, and all plants and treats and toys. It's a lot of stuff, but parrots are easily stressed and they can be fragile, especially the smaller ones. My family's been pushing for me to host Thanksgiving at my house as it's the biggest one. I have 5 siblings who all have their own kids, between 2 to 4 each. And it's a lot of people when you add my parents, aunts, uncles, etc. I didn't want to do it as it's a lot of prep work with cooking and then cleaning after, but I eventually agreed but laid down some ground rules. 1. I plan the menu and everyone brings a dish so we can all contribute. 2. Bring entertainment for your kids. I'll make one room into a quiet space where they can go and take a nap if they're overstimulated, or they can go in and play quietly, but they have to provide tots or whatever their kids will need. 3. Absolutely no one without me goes to the parrot room. It'll be locked anyway. I thought these were simple and fair, but my siblings are now demanding that I baby-proof my house because it's unsafe. What if they fall off the stairs? That I must allow the kids to see the parrots as they want to play with them, and it'll keep the kids quiet. I told them that they would have to keep an eye on their kids because I'm not going to install child-proof systems for one day, and they'll simply have to keep an eye on their kids. I also said there's absolutely no way that I would allow the kids inside the parrot room. They're calling me a jerk, a spoiled kid. I'm the oldest, but okay. Lazy, bum, etc. I threatened that if they keep on going, I would cancel Thanksgiving at my house and they can host it. But they keep on going. Because of the situation, I'm currently not on speaking terms with 2 of my sisters. They keep complaining and ganging up on me. My father's on my side, but my mother has my sibling's side, and I'm not sure anymore. Should I cave in? Am I really the jerk in this situation? Honestly, it sounds like OP's house was kind of volunteered for them. I think OP's definitely not the jerk. Nobody in their right mind would go and install childproofing for one day, and in no way should you feel bad for looking out for your parrots that, let's be real, are probably not going to be treated very kindly by children. Our next story is, am I the jerk for crying and asking my boyfriend to leave over a burger? I, 21-year-old female, recently found out I'm pregnant. Woo! Getting to the 6-month mark, it's a complicated pregnancy and I'm exhausted. My boyfriend, 28, moved in with me because of it. It wasn't expected, but we're making do. I'm training to be a teacher and he's currently looking for employment. Technically, I'm working 2 jobs to support the both of us. It's tiring, but he's looking so it's not over that. There's a local burger place I'd been wanting. We rarely go, but I've been having cravings. They shut at a certain time. He agreed to it, He agreed to ordering, since they only have one veggie burger I like. It's not as though there's multiple things I can have. They shut at 9, I got home at 8:40, and he hadn't ordered, and by the time he went to, it was too late. I started crying because I've been craving that all week, and all I wanted was a burger and a hot shower. I couldn't even have a shower since he used the last of the hot water. He didn't apologize and offered to go to Burger King, which I didn't want, and he got all silent claiming that I'm being a jerk since he's been job hunting all day. As I see it, my day started at 6 a.m. and ended when I got in bed at 9:30. His day started at 9 a.m. and ended at 9:30, but I've got the extra weight of pregnancy. We got into an argument about how we're comparing days and that he's overwhelmed. I asked him to leave because I don't like arguing, and he had to stay in his car since he moved in with me, away from friends. He argued that I'm blowing it out of the window because I'm pregnant and not considering his feelings because he's overwhelmed. So am I. My friends say that I'm the jerk because he's probably in over his head and had to sleep in his car over a burger. Am I the jerk? I mean, I totally get feeling overwhelmed if you're literally working all day trying to find some kind of job. But let's be real, it takes not even 5 minutes to pop in an online order for delivery nonetheless. I mean, it's asking the bare minimum. If this dude at any point during the day had to go and sit on the toilet for a few minutes, could have done it then. So I think overall OP's not the jerk. Shoot, if I made arrangements like that, I got back from working 2 jobs, and I wasn't even pregnant, I probably would cry. This next story is, am I the jerk for being upfront and telling my parents that I'm putting them in a home? My family's from South Asia, but we live in the States. My parents loved my older brother and tolerated me. They expected me to just stay home and take care of them and my brother. That wasn't for me. I got a partial scholarship to a state school and got the freak out. I worked the 4 years of my undergrad and was fortunate enough to get a full scholarship for my after degree, so I graduated university with only a small debt and 2 degrees. I found a career that I really enjoy and a husband who loves me. My parents paid for my brother's education and he does very well for himself, but he's chosen to have 5 children and they all go to private school and have all kinds of extracurricular activities. And his wife is a stay-at-home mom, even though they have a nanny. I know 5 young children would be difficult to manage. I'm just saying that she has a degree as well, but they chose to be a 1-income household. We're expecting our first child. We waited a few years before deciding to start our family. We'll be stopping at 2, and my husband will be getting a vasectomy afterwards. We are very much in agreement about our future. My parents, however, have decided that they're going to sell their home and come live with us. We have a large property with an in-law suite in a high cost of living city on the West Coast. I told my husband that I did not want them living with us, and he concurred. So I told him no. They said that they already listed their home and that a dutiful daughter would take care of her parents in their old age. I said if they gave me all the money from the sale of their home, I would find them a nice retirement home where they could live, and that I would pay the bills until they passed away. They didn't like that idea very much. They called me an ungrateful child and that it was expected of me. I sent them a check for 1 year's worth of rent, food, utilities, and sundries. I said I moved out 1 year after I turned 18 and that they were responsible for me up to that point. I then told them to not contact me again without going through my lawyer. I've been playing whack-a-mole, blocking all of their attempts to reach me, and all of the family members, both in the States and back home, that are calling me a jerk. My brother contacted me and said that I was making the family look bad by not taking them in, so I gave him the choice of either taking them in himself or never bringing it up to me again, or I will be going no contact with him as well. So was I too harsh? And does that make me a jerk? I should probably add that they didn't approve of me marrying a person not from their culture and religion, so they didn't contribute to our wedding, even though they did attend. I mean, I imagine this is very normal in their culture where they come from, so they have these expectations. But the bottom line here is you don't subscribe to those beliefs. And as far as things go here, you're not responsible for another adult, whether they be your parents or not. If they're willing to cash in their home and try to knock on your front door, I mean, that's their prerogative, but you don't owe them anything. especially with the way they treated OP. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my wife that leaving her used pad at my brother's place was inappropriate? My wife and I were invited to my brother's 31st birthday. He's single and lives alone in his apartment. So to give you the heads up, my wife and him don't get along so well, but can be civil enough to sit at the same table. So we went and had dinner and talked, and everything was going well. No argument, nothing, till after my wife went to use the bathroom. Later, my brother went to use the bathroom and then came back looking pissed. He kept giving me and my wife looks, but I didn't know what was going on till he pulled me aside before we left and told me that my wife had left her used pad in his bathroom. I was shocked and didn't know what to say because this felt highly inappropriate. He said that he didn't appreciate what my wife did and that it was a sign of disrespect towards him. I apologized profoundly and said I didn't know about it. He asked me to speak to her or she wouldn't be welcome in his place anymore. We got in the car and I asked my wife about it. She nonchalantly said that there was nothing wrong with what she did and that my brother was being ridiculous. I kind of flipped and told her it was very inappropriate for her to leave her used pad in his place, even if it was in the bathroom and in the trash can, because it made him uncomfortable. She yelled, asking what she was supposed to do, and I told her she could have took it with her and threw it outside, not in his bathroom. That's my brother's place, and he told me how he felt about it. She yelled at me, calling my brother an incel and called me a jerk for getting in her face about it. She said she needed to use the bathroom, and it's not like the pad was visible since she dumped it in the trash can. At home, we still argued about it, and she kept on calling me and my brother names. She's currently not speaking to me and is avoiding me entirely. Regardless, I feel like it's his place, and he gets to express what makes him uncomfortable in it. I sure hope that this is a bait story, like something somebody put out there solely for the chance of causing outrage and maybe getting a bunch of upvotes, because there's no way that OP honestly is married to a woman who I assume has made this a very normal process for OP to bear witness to and say that it's totally unreasonable to throw it in the trash can. I think OP is a huge jerk, and if they start groveling and apologize, maybe they'll be lucky that their wife does start talking to them again. I feel like OP and their brother need to start sitting at the kids' table till they figure things out a little bit more. This next story is, am I the jerk for giving my late husband's brother and his kids 3 days to move out? My late husband Adam, male 36, passed away a month ago. He had lung cancer and was terminal. I live in his house that he owned, still haven't done anything concerning inheritance. His brother lost his job and place and moved in with me a week ago. I gotta admit, I wasn't too pleased to have him move in with me, but I had no choice after I got talked into it by family, and since we had the chance to help each other grieve. Here's the situation. He started randomly walking into the bedroom and excusing it as needing to borrow something from Adam's closet. He wears his clothes and even started using his stuff, razor, laptop, etc. He also got his hands on his piano, which to me felt disrespectful because Adam wouldn't want it touched or moved. I try to have conversations with him about what's allowed and what's not, but he'd throw the "would Adam want you to treat me like that?" line at me. It made me feel frustrated. I seriously started contemplating telling him to leave. Now, the current conflict, I finally brought myself to open Adam's closet and found a box full of wrapped gifts. I read the piece of paper at the bottom, and he wrote that he got me a gift for next year's occasions in advance since he knew he wouldn't be around much longer. I was absolutely stunned. There was a gift for my birthday, Valentine's, our wedding anniversary, Christmas, and so on. He said he wanted this gesture to also serve as a comforting method, so I wouldn't feel so devastated since we know that grief gets tense during these times. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he was always this thoughtful, but I never just knew that his thoughtfulness could reach this level. I was out yesterday, and when I returned, I found that my nephews had opened all the gifts and ruined them. I was appalled. My joy instantly faded. I had a huge argument with brother-in-law, but he said the kids were curious and that it was my fault for not concealing my stuff like I should. I told him he had 3 days to move out. He started ranting about how it's his brother's house and how I was ruining family relationships over a few gifts. Mother-in-law got involved and took his side, saying that he's grieving and that this is his brother's house and that I'm also acting unhinged. Am I being too emotional? I wanted to feel his presence this upcoming year, but I feel like it was ruined for me. I think it's pretty clear that OP's late husband's brother is not respectful of his stuff, not respectful of his memory, what these things might mean to you or meant to him. And to even be nonchalant over not an insignificant thing that they left behind to make things easier on you, I mean, they're lucky that that's the least you're doing. Like, I feel like most people would blow up, scream, would yell at them to leave that day, you know? I think OP's not the jerk. Our next story is, am I the jerk for turning on my sprinklers on my mom when she didn't get off my lawn? Me and my wife have a 4-month-old baby. My mom was initially brought into the house to help me and my wife with the new baby. My wife is going through postpartum depression, which is making past issues come up. Struggles with ED. The day was pretty much hard for her to get up and take a shower right now, and the pregnancy caused a lot of hair loss and even tooth issues. Eating's become an issue again, which of course had to be addressed carefully. We've dealt with this before. Therapy and doctor visits and such seem to be going better with her, so that's good. However, without my knowledge, my mom's been a big part of my wife's issues. 2 months ago, my wife finally told me what my mother had been doing when I'm not there, like reprimanding her for not eating and saying she'll harm the baby and be a bad mom. Her eating is and was managed. It's the urge to not to is the problem. Professionals and extra help from me were brought into play as soon as it came up. Another thing being judging her appearance because of her struggles of getting out of bed, much less getting ready with hair and makeup, or saying that she's being a baby and whining when she didn't even actually give birth to the child. An emergency C-section. Reprimanding her when she's used formula and not breast milk. Saying she's not being a real mom and harming the baby because they need good breast milk. There's even more. All of this when I wasn't in the room or around. 2 months ago, my wife told me my mom immediately was kicked out and has been blowing up mine and my wife's phone since. I blocked her, but she gets a new way to contact me and she brought the fam into it as usual. Since then, my wife has gotten better and everything's looking up for her. Well, the other day, my mom decided to show up in the lawn in the middle of the night, banging on the door. I didn't answer because I didn't want her to barge in, so I called her. Mom said, "Let me inside. I want to see my grandchild." I said, "No, get off my lawn." She proceeded to yap about her rights to her grandchild and how dramatic we are to be doing this when she needed to grow thicker skin. As she was banging on my front lawn, I remembered one of my sprinklers is broken and sprays to the front instead of stopping before it hits the driveway. So I said if she doesn't leave or wakes up my wife or kid, I'm turning the sprinklers on. She kept banging, so I turned on the sprinklers. She screamed and ran into her car, and I went back to sleep. I got tons of messages from my dad, aunt, and siblings about how much of a jerk I was being, and that if it was that big of a deal, I should have just let her see the baby and kept my wife in the room away from her. 1, I feel like I was right, and it's time for a restraining order because this is crazy. 2, I'm not secluding my wife in her own home to keep her from someone. That just shows how much they shouldn't be here. And 3, back to number 1. So OP is definitely not the jerk, and if she cannot take a hint, she can't apologize, she can't work towards being a better person, and they keep showing up or harassing you, 100%. Turn to using the cops, turn to filing that restraining order. Keep your wife and your baby safe and happy and out of any direction of this stressor. Our next story is, am I the jerk for making my boyfriend pay for expensive bath products even though we can't afford them? I, 24-year-old female, have been dating my boyfriend, 29-year-old male, for a year and a half and have been living together for 6 months. I have a well-paying job, but my boyfriend's looking for a PhD position, so he's working part-time delivering medicines and volunteering at the university. When we moved in together, we agreed to put 50% of our salaries into a joint account for joint expenses, like rent and groceries, and the rest 50% into our personal accounts. Since I make thrice as much as him, I have more fun money, but it also means I'm contributing a lot more to our joint account. One thing I like to treat myself with is body bath products from this really expensive brand. I pay for them using my personal account and buy less expensive products for my boyfriend using our joint account. Recently, I started smelling these products on my boyfriend. They have a strong, distinct smell, so I asked him if you use them. He said he only uses them a few times a month, so I let that go as it's fine. However, I started smelling them on him all the time, and also realized I'm running out way quicker than usual. So I confronted him, and he admitted that he prefers my products over his, so he uses them daily. I said no problem, but I'll be paying for them using our joint account from now on. Well, he freaked out. He said he can't afford them, and since I have more money in my personal account anyways, I can afford it. I, however, think it's unfair as I'm already paying so much towards our joint account that I would like to use my personal money for my own things and savings. Also, it's not like I asked him to contribute more than he does towards the joint account. We can afford these products together after our other expenses. It'll just cut through a bit from our joint savings. We got into a huge fight, and he's saying that I'm financially abusing him. He got our friends involved in their split. They think I should be considerate of his feelings, as I make a lot more than him and can easily afford the products on my own. Now he stopped using the products as protest, and I feel terrible. I think he's doing emotional manipulation against OP. OP splurged on some extra stuff specifically for themselves using their own money. If they're both going to be sharing these products, it makes sense for it to come out of their joint account that they both pay towards. The problem here is the boyfriend just doesn't want to spend that much. But I think it's pretty clear as day, it should come out of that joint account. Best of luck to OP. It's like going to McDonald's, you order a Big Mac for yourself. They order just a cheeseburger for themselves. Then they start nibbling on your Big Mac and then start saying, well, you should get them a Big Mac too, and only you should pay for it. Doesn't make much sense. That said, our final story of the day is, am I the jerk for insisting that I have nothing to apologize for after my husband read my diary? I've kept a diary since I was 10. It's my form of therapy, and I don't police my thoughts. I've never let anyone read my diary. My husband and I started dating over a decade ago. One day, a couple of months in, he was over at my apartment, and I'd hopped in the shower. When I came out, he was sitting on the bed shell-shocked. He said he had read my journal, which was mostly about my life as a newly single woman. He told me it really stung to read all that. But wait, hold on, how'd you find it? He said he was looking for matches. He couldn't tell me why he kept reading, even after he knew what it was, but his apology was sincere and I forgave him. Not too long after that, things got messy. He started getting either very sad or very angry while referring to things he read. His feelings were so intense that I started apologizing for my thoughts. Anyway, we got married. A decade later, I was thinking of a divorce and wrote a ton to process my thoughts about some sensitive topics. Again, he stumbled upon my journal and read it all. I was pissed, but he convinced me that he would never do it again. Besides, he was really hurt by the things I wrote, and I felt bad. I let it go, but he started getting sad or angry again thinking about what he had read. Once more, the intensity of his feelings led me to apologize for my thoughts. Now here we are, married with kids, setting up Scrabble on a Friday night. He went to find a piece of paper and came back quiet and distracted. I asked if everything was okay. He looked at me sharply and told me that he just read my journal. I tensed, thinking of how I recently tackled some tough feelings related to our different ethnic and religious backgrounds. I wrote things that would have been hurtful to read, and I was mortified knowing that he did read them, but I was also annoyed. Wait, you read my journal again? He blamed me for leaving it out and accused me of being a bad person for what I wrote, but honestly, I wasn't listening to him anymore. I just wanted to know why we were dealing with this again. It's pretty freaking basic knowledge that one shouldn't read other people's diaries, right? But look at him, forcing his way into my brain and shaming me for what he saw. I surprised myself by slamming my hand on the table. A third time? We were both hurt, but he was accusing me of overreacting while minimizing and deflecting his behavior. He called me overly emotional when I cried over how violated I felt. This feels so wrong, like I committed a thought crime. So am I the jerk for insisting he's 100% wrong? I'm so mad, but I'm doubting whether my reaction was proportional to what he did. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being terrible, what would you rate someone reading your journal? And would you apologize for the things you wrote? So considering OP uses their journal as a form of processing things that they think about, I think they're definitely not the jerk here. And out of a scale of 1 to 10, if somebody was reading my journal, my personal thought diary, I would rank them 15 million, thousand, billion, like they would be the worst to me. It's such an incredibly gross invasion of privacy. And I'm willing to bet 3 times wasn't just 3 times, those were just 3 times they had something to really get upset about. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or, if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.